notifications. This is my contact information. You can see my email address is on there. There's my phone number. Like I said, email me. If you want to talk, you can set up a phone call. These are my formal office hours for the quarter. I'm sitting there on my computer responding to emails, calling students that have scheduled an appointment, or zooming into a meeting with students. I invite students from other classes to come in and talk to me. They want to meet face to face during that window of time. If this doesn't work for you, we can schedule something, but that's what the email is for, okay? Contacting the instructor, preferred method, email. Okay, if you have questions or concerns regarding projects or grading, email me. Do not use the comments in the assignments. I don't always see those in a timely manner. But yeah, they just get lost and buried, okay? So you have a question or a concern, email me. And sometimes in the comments, I will say, I'll ask you a question, and I'll say, email it to me. That way I know for sure I get that response. Instructor availability. I should have changed this. It says 9 to 6. I'm going to change this. It's going to be 9 to 5. Okay, now I'll be honest with you. I'm still checking email all night long, and I still respond, but I don't want to be held accountable for it. Does that make sense? I have a family. I have 2 kids. They have all sorts of after-school stuff. I'm very much engaged in their lives. Sometimes I just can't get to it after 5 p.m. when they're home. All right, I'll change that to 5. And Monday through Friday. Once again, I check my emails on the weekends. I just don't want to be held accountable for it. And I ask you to give me 24 hours to respond to you. So I usually respond quickly, but I do want a little bit of flexibility. Instructor feedback, so the same stuff. Oh, announcements, communication with me. It happens on a weekly basis, usually on Monday or Tuesday. I will provide feedback on all assignments within 7 days of the project close. This is a little misnomer. I'd like to get back to you within 7 days, but if you are urgent, let's say you turn something in and you really want a response, call me and we'll grade it together. We'll talk about it immediately. Okay, or if I'm taking too long for you, you're like, Marco, I can't wait any longer. I want to know what you think of this project. Email me. I'll take care of it immediately. But this is not the only class I teach. I teach 3 other classes. I'm also the program manager, and I'm the department chair. I got a lot of stuff going on. While I try to be thorough, I do sometimes fall a little bit behind. If you're urgent or you have a sense of urgency, just get back to me, okay? I may respond to emails and weekends on evenings if time permits. Final exam, I showed you where you can calculate it yourself, but this is what I figured out it was. We have a final project, and that outline will be given to you with the specific times and expectations. I will not accept, this is a really big deal, guys. I will not accept finals outside of the final date. I will not accept your final project or your final participation. Does that make sense? That is the last day the class is open. I cannot accept work outside of that day. All right, requisites. These are like things that you should have to take this class, but they're not a prerequisite. It's not going to stop you. This is our course goal. I'm not going to read it, but it basically says, in summary, hey, we're going to learn some software stuff, some graphic design software stuff that informs digital illustration practices and contemporary ways or current ways of making a design that works with color, composition, and we're going to work with some digital tools focusing on Adobe Illustrator. These are our SLOs. All syllabus should have these SLOs. And what these are, this is what the instructor should be teaching to. These need to be listed by California State Code on the syllabus, and this tells you what I am required to teach to. I fostered these SLOs, I wrote them. I know what my classes are doing, but if you take another class and you're wondering, what is the goal of the class? This is it, right here. This is really it. It says here, demonstrate basic skills of professional software hardware currently used by graphic designers and fine artists. We're going to learn Illustrator and InDesign. Those are the professional tools. Demonstrate a basic knowledge of digital terminology currently used by professional graphic designers and fine artists. So we're going to learn vocabulary, what these terms are used and called, and you're going to have a brief quiz on it about it at the end of the quarter that proves that you know this terminology. And then exhibit a critical understanding of performance of the design process through direct laboratory discussions. So you're going to perform the design process, and then you're going to share it through a discussion. That's what's going to happen. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Software, Illustrator, InDesign, software requirements, talked about this already. Firefox, Zoom, Safari, Illustrator, InDesign, a web browser. Create a Dianza student email account. You can see there's a lot of redundancy. These are like the important things for the first week. This is my attendance policy. This is a big one. Anytime you see something highlighted in pink or red, that means please pay attention. 2 late arrivals equals 1 absence as far as I'm concerned. What is a late arrival? 30 minutes or more. If I've already lectured for a half hour, you missed a bunch of stuff. You might as well shouldn't have come in. That's my attitude. Stay home. I guess if you show up, that's better than nothing, but I'm not going to count you as you're here. A student may be dropped from the class after 4 absences. May is the key word there. Now, let me put it this way. Let's say you get through the first 2 weeks, and then you miss 2 weeks in a row. That's 4 classes, 2 weeks in a row. Can you imagine missing week 3 and week 4 as we're learning a software and how to do this? Do you think that you're going to be able to recover? It's going to be very difficult. And so I'm probably going to have a conversation with you and say, hey, I just don't think this is going to work out. You've got COVID, you've been sick for 2 weeks. It's going to be really hard to recover. I think you should take it some other time. Now let's say you missed a day next week, you miss a day week 4, you miss a day week 7, and you miss a day week 9. Is that a deal breaker? No, that's feasible. You can recover from that because it's sprinkled throughout the quarter. That's why I take the situation into case, but after 4 absences, I reserve the right to drop you. It's my prerogative and a conversation that I will have with you, and it depends on whether or not you're going to find success. Okay? I'm not just going to drop you because I want to. I just want to make sure you can still complete the material. A student may be dropped for missing more than 1 class or lab during the first 2 weeks of the quarter. I had a series of students that didn't show up today. We've already have 1 mark against them. If they don't show up on Thursday, they're out. If they miss next Tuesday, they're out. Because that's just too much material to miss at the beginning. You can't recover from it. Like I said, I've been teaching for a long time. I just know that's just the case. It's really difficult for students to recover if they've missed a week of class in the first 2 weeks. That's 50% of the material. It's very difficult to recover. And also, if this was an online class, if you did not participate in 1 week, that means you didn't turn anything in for 1 week. That's 7 days. I always have stuff coming in. I reserve the right to drop you. That's my threshold, but I usually give the students a little bit more than that, and then I reach out to them. But this is not an online class. You don't have to necessarily worry about that. For an excused absence, please contact the instructor. What do you think my excused absences are? Required text? We don't have a required text. But if you want something for yourself, I think that the classroom in a book series put out by Adobe are pretty good. They have tutorials and lessons, but we're going to do tutorials and lessons together. I don't know why you would want that. The other one that I like is the Illustrator Quick Start Guide. There's a publisher called Peach Pit Press. I like their stuff. It's pretty cool. It's pretty simple. That's what I would get, but you don't need a book for this class. We're going to learn together. We're going to do tutorials together. And if you follow along with me and you do the homework assignments, you're going to learn the software intimately. You're not going to rely on reading something. You're just going to know how it works.